Welcome back, everybody. For this deep dive, we're going to be talking all about fashion.
Ooh, fun.
Specifically, we're going to be looking at some of the standout looks from the Critics' Choice Awards red carpet.
Oh, nice.
You know, those awards that got pushed back because of the fires in LA?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the night started by honoring first responders.
Right.
And I feel like that definitely added a layer of,
Meaning.
Yeah, meaning to the whole event.
For sure.
But let's get into the fashion. Okay, so imagine you're there, right?
Yeah.
Lights, cameras, all of Hollywood's A-listers.
All dressed up.
Yeah, exactly. We're about to break down who wore what and what made these looks so memorable.
I love it. You know, it's always fascinating to see how celebrities use fashion on a night like this.
Right.
It's not just about looking good. It's about crafting an image, sending a message.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's start with a classic, shall we? Angelina Jolie.
Oh, good one.
She went with a light brown lace dress.
Beautiful.
Just simple,
Yeah.
but it's Angelina, so of course she was breathtaking.
Right. I mean, the lace itself.
Yeah.
So delicate, but strong. Kind of like her persona. And what I found interesting is she kept the accessories super minimal.
Yeah.
It was all about that one perfect pop of color. That red lip.
I was going to say that red lip was serious business.
Oh, totally.
Right.
Red lipstick has such a long history, right?
Yeah.
Being associated with power and confidence. Think Cleopatra. Think Hollywood starlets in the golden age.
Wow. I never thought about it like that.
It's a classic way to say, I'm in charge.
So minimal accessories, bold lip, almost like she's saying, I don't need all the flash to make an impact.
Exactly. Now, contrast that with Demi Moore, who's actually nominated in the same category as Angelina.
Okay.
She chose a dark blue strapless gown with all this beading and fringe.
Yeah, much more glamorous, like old Hollywood.
Totally different vibe, right?
Do you think those choices reflect their personalities, or are they just, playing a role for the cameras?
Ooh, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's probably a bit of both. We bring ourselves to everything we do. But there's also this awareness of the image we're projecting, especially on a stage like this.
That's true. Okay, so moving on to someone who always brings the drama. Ariana Grande.
Oh, yes.
She wore this structured brown mini dress.
Okay.
And get this, it had these massive floral embellishments.
Talk about a statement piece. It's definitely different from her usual softer style.
Yeah.
That structure, cut the bold color, those oversized florals.
Yeah.
It all feels so much more mature, more powerful.
Do you think she's trying to signal a shift in her persona, or is this just a one-off fashion risk?
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting how she's playing with these contrasts.
Oh, yeah.
You have the sweetness of the florals, but then it's juxtaposed with this structured, almost architectural silhouette.
Yeah.
It's like she's saying she can be both delicate and strong, feminine and powerful.
I see what you mean. It's definitely a look that makes you think. All right, let's move on to someone who seems to effortlessly embody both grace and power. Zoe Saldana.
Oh, yes.
That red dress.
Insane. That was a showstopper.
It was a...
It had that classic Hollywood glamour, but with a modern edge.
Uh-huh.
The silhouette was simple, but the color and the drape of the fabric were just exquisite.
Yeah.
And again, minimal accessories.
Yeah.
It was all about the dress.
I was getting major Jessica Rabbit vibes.
Ooh.
Confident, sexy, and totally in control.
Do you think old Hollywood glamour is making a comeback?
There's definitely this resurgence of appreciation for that timeless elegance. You see it with the resurgence of vintage fashion, the popularity of classic tailoring.
Yeah.
It's about quality craftsmanship and a certain kind of understated sophistication.
Okay, next up we have Cynthia Erivo.
Right?
Now she's nominated for her role as Elphaba in Wicked.
Yes.
And her outfit was super interesting. Tell me about that black leather gown.
This is where it gets really cool.
Hey.
That black leather, the plunging neckline, the peplum waist, it's all very Elphaba-esque.
Yeah.
It's almost as if she's bringing a bit of her character to the red carpet, blurring the lines between fiction and reality.
I love that. It's like she's using fashion to tell a story.
To give us a glimpse into the world of her character, it's definitely a bold choice, especially compared to some of the more classic looks we've seen.
Right. It shows a real sense of individuality and a willingness to take risks. It's not just about following trends. It's about making a statement. And speaking of making a statement, Nicole Kidman.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone else seemed to be going for gowns, and she chose a tan suit.
Yeah. It was unexpected.
And she rocked it.
You don't see a lot of suits on the red carpet.
Right.
Especially for women. What do you think she's trying to convey with that choice?
Well, for Kidman, who's known for her elegant and often, hyper-feminine style, this is a power move.
Okay.
Choosing a suit for this kind of event challenges traditional expectations,
Yeah.
sends a message of confidence and authority.
It's almost like she's saying, I can be feminine and powerful in a suit.
Exactly. And it's not just about breaking the rules.
Mm-hmm.
It's about showing that women can be just as stylish and impactful in a suit as they can be in a gown.
Yeah. I love that she's playing with those gender norms.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've seen a lot of bold colors and statement pieces, but then you have someone like Kate Hudson who went for a classic black dress.
But with the twist.
Yes. Tell me about that background.
That backless detail was unexpected.
It was.
And so flattering.
Yeah.
It added a touch of sensuality to an otherwise classic look.
Right?
And the cut of the dress, the way it flowed, it just highlighted her figure beautifully.
Yeah.
Effortless elegance.
It's like she's saying, I don't need all the bells and whistles to make an impact. I can be sexy and confident in a simple black dress.
Exactly. And then there's Jodie Foster, who also opted for a more mature, understated look in a sparkly tan dress.
Yeah.
Both women, are at different stages in their careers, but they both looked incredible and completely comfortable in their own skin.
It's inspiring to see that style transcends age. Speaking of ageless, can we talk about the host, Chelsea Handler?
Of course, always a good time.
She went for a cream-colored one-shoulder dress and these fun, sparkly heels.
What did you think?
I thought it was perfect for her.
Yeah.
It was elegant, but still had that playful energy that she's known for. Like, she could go from cracking jokes to accepting an award without missing a beat.
I totally agree. The one-shoulder detail was modern, the color was flattering, and the sparkly heels just added that right touch of whimsy.
Yeah.
It was a great reflection of her personality.
Okay, 2 more looks that caught my eye. We had Rachel Brosnahan in a figure-hugging black gown with keyhole cutouts.
Ooh, yes.
And then Kristen Bell went super simple in a black halter dress. 2 very different takes on the classic LBD.
Right. It's a great example of how you can take a seemingly simple garment like a black dress and make it your own.
Right.
Rachel's dress was more daring and edgy, while Kristen's was all about understated elegance.
I love that it shows how personal style can really shine through even when you're working with a classic silhouette.
Yeah.
Okay, last but certainly not least, Maren Morris.
Yes.
She brought some serious drama to the red carpet with that black and white strapless gown and a train for days.
Talk about a grand finale.
Yeah.
That dress was stunning.
Yeah.
And that black and white color scheme was so striking. It's interesting to see how she's bridging the gap between country music style and high fashion.
I was going to say it was definitely a departure from the usual country music glitz and glam.
Yeah.
It felt more high fashion, more editorial.
Exactly. And she's pulling it off beautifully.
Yeah.
That dress was both elegant and edgy.
Yeah.
And the train added a touch of drama that was perfect for the occasion.
Okay, so we've seen a lot of variety tonight.
Yeah.
From classic Hollywood glamour to edgy leather and everything in between.
It's been amazing.
It's amazing to see how these celebrities are using fashion to express their individuality, to tell their stories, and to make a statement.
Absolutely. And beyond the individual styles, it's fascinating how these choices reflect broader cultural trends.
Oh, that's a good point.
Which we can dive into next.
Yeah.
But before we move on, I want to ask you, what stood out to you most so far? What are you noticing about these fashion choices?
Well, I think one of the things that's really striking me is how it's interesting how
it's fascinating, isn't it? How a single event, like the Critics' Choice Awards, can offer such a rich tapestry of style choices.
Right, like it's a visual feast and each look is telling a story.
And those stories can go beyond the individual, reflecting broader cultural trends and societal shifts.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example.
Well, take the rise of quiet luxury we've seen in recent years. It's all about that understated elegance, focusing on quality and craftsmanship rather than flashy logos or over-the-top embellishments.
So like Angelina Jolie's lace dress. Subtle but stunning.
Exactly. It's a rejection of conspicuous consumption and a move towards a more thoughtful and sustainable approach to fashion.
I can see that. And it makes sense considering the growing awareness of, environmental issues and the desire for more ethical practices in the fashion industry.
Precisely. And it's not just limited to those high-end designers either.
Oh, really?
We're seeing this trend trickle down to everyday fashion as well.
Interesting.
With people investing in timeless pieces that they can wear for years to come.
So it's about quality over quantity?
Yeah. Choosing pieces that you love and that will last.
Absolutely. It's about choosing pieces that resonate with your personal style and that you'll truly cherish rather than chasing, fleeting trends.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a more mindful way of approaching fashion. And it seems like there's a shift happening in how we consume fashion media, too. It's less about those harsh critiques and unrealistic beauty standards that were so prevalent before.
You're absolutely right. There's been this noticeable shift away from focusing on, who wore what best or who had the biggest fashion fail.
Yeah.
Instead, there's this growing appreciation for diversity and individuality.
Mm.
We're seeing more body positivity, more inclusivity, and a celebration of different styles and aesthetics.
It's about time. Fashion should be fun and empowering, not a source of anxiety or self-doubt.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And I think this shift is reflected in the way red carpet events are being covered these days.
Oh, yeah.
There's more emphasis on the stories behind the looks.
Yeah.
The designers, the inspiration, the craftsmanship. It's less about judging and more about appreciating the art and effort that goes into creating these incredible ensembles.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the context and the message behind the fashion choices.
And that's what makes it so interesting. It's like a window into the minds of these creative individuals and the cultural landscape as a whole.
Exactly. Fashion is a reflection of who we are both individually and collectively.
Right.
It's this powerful tool for self-expression.
Yeah.
And when we pay attention, it can reveal so much about the world around us.
I totally agree. It's not just about the clothes. It's about the stories they tell.
And the conversations they spark. Speaking of which, let's get back to some of the specific looks from the Critics' Choice Awards.
Sounds good to me. Where should we pick up?
Well, we talked about the power of simplicity with Angelina Jolie and Demi Moore's contrasting styles. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on Ariana Grande's floral fantasy.
You mean that structured brown mini dress with those dramatic floral embellishments? It felt like a real departure for her.
It was. Her past red carpet choices often leaned towards more ethereal and romantic looks. This felt bolder, more grown-up.
Do you think it signals a new direction for her style?
It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely shows a willingness to experiment and push boundaries. You know, that structured silhouette and those bold floral accents, they suggest a more mature and confident aesthetic.
Interesting. It could be a sign of her personal growth and evolution as an artist. After all, fashion is often a reflection of our inner journeys.
It's certainly possible. And it's exciting to see her embracing new facets of her style.
Yeah.
So we've talked about quiet, luxury individuality and the evolution of personal style. What other themes or trends did you notice on the red carpet?
Well, one thing that really struck me was the use of bold color.
Oh, yeah.
It felt so vibrant and energetic. Zoe Saldana's red dress, Cynthia Erivo's black letter gown, Kate Hudson in that sunshine yellow.
Yes.
It was like a rainbow of powerful statements.
You're so right. We saw vibrant hues across the spectrum. It's like this celebration of life and energy after a period of uncertainty and, well, frankly, a lot of muted tones in fashion.
It makes you think maybe people are craving that sense of optimism and vibrancy.
Yeah.
And that's reflected in their fashion choices.
I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
After the challenges of recent years, people are looking for ways to express joy and confidence. And what better way to do that than through color?
It's not just about looking good, it's about feeling good.
Right.
And those bold colors definitely evoke feelings of happiness and empowerment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Color has this powerful psychological impact. Think about how a bright yellow room can lift your mood, or how a deep blue can create a sense of calm. It's the same with fashion.
I never thought about it that way. But it makes sense. It's like a visual exclamation point in a world that's constantly vying for our attention.
Yeah.
A splash of color can help you stand out and make a statement.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a trend that's not limited to the red carpet. We're seeing bold color popping up everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
From street style to home decor.
Wow.
It's like this collective embrace of joy and self-expression.
Speaking of breaking norms, I have to bring up Nicole Kidman in that tan suit again.
Oh, yes.
It really sparked a conversation about gender and fashion.
It did. And it speaks to this larger trend of breaking down gender stereotypes and embracing a more fluid approach to style.
Yeah.
It's not about adhering to these rigid rules. It's about wearing what feels authentic to you.
Right. Whether that's a woman rocking a power suit or a man embracing a traditionally feminine silhouette.
Exactly. We're seeing this play out in all areas of fashion.
Yeah.
It's about breaking free from restrictive labels and celebrating individual expression.
I love that.
And it's this positive sign of progress towards a more inclusive and accepting society.
I couldn't agree more. It's not just about fashion. It's about challenging societal norms and creating a more equitable world. Fashion as a force for good, if you will.
I love that.
Yeah.
And speaking of forces for good, we can't overlook the increasing influence of sustainability in the fashion industry.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a huge topic these days.
Yeah.
People are definitely becoming more aware of the environmental and social impact of their clothing choices.
They are. And they're demanding more ethical and sustainable practices from brands.
Right.
It's not just about looking good. It's about doing good, too.
Exactly. And it's encouraging to see that a growing number of designers and brands are responding to this demand.
Yeah.
They're using eco-friendly materials, reducing waste, and implementing fair labor practices.
It's definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
It shows that the industry is starting to take responsibility for its impact on the planet and its people.
Mm.
And as consumers, we have the power to support these positive changes by making conscious choices about the clothes we buy and wear.
We do. And by continuing to advocate for transparency and ethical practices within the industry, we can vote with our wallets and use our voices to create a more sustainable fashion future.
Absolutely. It's a collective effort.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about quiet luxury individuality, the evolution of personal style, the embrace of bold color, and the blurring of gender lines in fashion. Any other key takeaways you want to highlight before we move on?
One thing that's worth noting is that all of these trends and conversations are happening within this larger cultural context. We're living in a time of rapid change and upheaval,
Yeah.
and fashion is reflecting that.
It's like a mirror to society, showing us who we are, what we value, and where we're headed.
That's a great point. So what does all this tell us about the current state of our culture?
I think it suggests a move towards greater awareness, authenticity, and inclusivity.
Yeah.
People are more conscious of the impact of their choices. They're embracing individuality, and they're demanding a more just and equitable world. And fashion is playing a role in that shift.
It's no longer just about following trends.
Right.
It's about expressing yourself, making a statement, and being part of something bigger than yourself.
I love that. So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought.
Yeah.
What does your style say about you? And how can you use fashion to express your individuality and make a difference in the world? You know, we've talked about individual style choices and how they reflect bigger cultural trends. But what I find really fascinating is how fashion can be used as a tool to tell a story or even to make a statement.
Absolutely. It's like fashion is a language.
Oh, yeah.
And just like any language, it can be used to communicate ideas and beliefs.
So it's not just about what you wear, but what it represents.
Precisely. Think about historical examples, like the suffragettes who wore white to symbolize purity and equality, or the Black Panthers who adopted that uniform of black leather and berets to project power and resistance. Clothing has always been a way to express solidarity and challenge the status quo.
It's like fashion can be a form of activism.
Exactly, and we're seeing that play out in contemporary fashion as well.
Yeah.
Take the rise of sustainable fashion, for instance. It's not just about wearing eco-friendly clothes.
Right.
It's about making a statement about your values
Yeah.
and your commitment to protecting the planet.
Right. It's like you're saying, I care about the environment and I'm putting my money where my mouth is.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to sustainability either.
Oh.
We're seeing fashion being used to raise awareness about a wide range of social issues, from LGBTQ plus rights to racial justice to body positivity.
It's like fashion is becoming a platform for social change.
I think that's a great way to put it. And it's exciting to see designers and brands using their platforms to amplify marginalized voices and promote positive change.
So we've talked about fashion as activism, but what about fashion as art?
That's a great question. Because at its core, fashion is about creativity and self-expression. It's about using clothing and accessories as a medium to tell a story, to evoke an emotion, or to create a work of art.
It's like fashion is a wearable art form.
I love that. And just like any other art form, fashion can be interpreted in countless ways.
Yeah.
It can be beautiful, provocative, thought-provoking, or even subversive.
So it's not just about following trends, it's about using fashion as a tool for self-discovery and creative exploration.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes fashion so endlessly fascinating.
Yeah.
It's this constantly evolving reflection of our individual and collective imaginations.
Okay, so we've talked about fashion as a form of activism, fashion as a form of art, and fashion as a reflection of cultural trends. What else is there to say about this fascinating world?
Well, I think it's important to remember that fashion is ultimately about people.
Okay.
It's about the designers who create the clothes,
Right.
the stylists who put the looks together, the models who wear them, and the consumers who ultimately buy them.
It's a collaborative effort, a tapestry woven from countless individual threads.
Beautifully said. And each of those individuals brings their own unique perspective and experiences to the table,
Yeah.
which is what makes fashion so diverse and dynamic.
Yeah. It's a melting pot of ideas, cultures, and aesthetics.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
Because when we embrace that diversity, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities.
So it's about celebrating our differences and finding beauty in the unexpected.
Absolutely. Because that's where the magic happens,
Yeah.
at the intersection of different perspectives and styles.
Now, before we wrap up, let's bring it back to the Critics' Choice Awards. We've talked about the overall trends and themes.
Yeah.
But what were some of the specific looks that really stuck with you?
Well, one that I keep thinking about is Cynthia Erivo in that incredible black leather gown.
Oh, yeah.
It was so fierce and powerful, and it really showcased her personality.
I loved how she brought a bit of Elphaba to the red carpet.
It was great.
It was bold, unexpected, and totally unforgettable.
It was.
Yeah.
And it's a great example of how fashion can be used to blur the lines between our personal and professional lives.
Another look that made a statement was Nicole Kidman in that tan suit.
Oh, yeah.
It was so chic and sophisticated, and it really challenged traditional gender norms.
Absolutely. It was a power move.
Yeah.
And it showed that women can be just as stylish and impactful in a suit as they can be in a gown.
And we can't forget Maren Morris in that breathtaking black and white gown with the flowing train.
Well, it was like something out of a fairy tale.
It was.
Stunning. And it perfectly captured that blend of elegance and edge that she's become known for.
It was a great reminder that fashion can be both beautiful and meaningful.
Exactly. It can be a way to express ourselves, celebrate our individuality, and connect with the world around us.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Critics' Choice Awards red carpet, I think we can all agree that fashion is so much more than just clothes.
It's a powerful form of self-expression, a reflection of our values, and a tool for social change.
It's a language that speaks volumes, and it's up to us to listen and learn.
Exactly. And to use our own style choices to tell our stories and make a positive impact on the world.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and of course, stay stylish.